Nuclear bombs. These two words carry an immense weight, a chilling reminder of humanity's capacity for destruction. They represent a force of nature, harnessed and unleashed with devastating consequences. These weapons operate on the principles of nuclear fission and fusion, releasing energy on a scale unimaginable just a century ago. The first atomic bombs, used in World War II, demonstrated the horrific power of these weapons, leaving cities in ruins and casting a long shadow over the future. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki served as a wake-up call to the world, a stark reminder of the stakes involved in a nuclear age. Understanding these weapons, their history, and the ongoing threat they pose is crucial for all of us. Nuclear weapons derive their power from the heart of the atom, exploiting the forces that bind it together. There are two main types, fission bombs and fusion bombs. Fission bombs, also known as atomic bombs, work by splitting the atom. They use heavy elements like uranium or plutonium. When a neutron strikes the nucleus of these atoms, it splits, releasing energy and more neutrons. Fusion bombs or hydrogen bombs are even more destructive. These weapons rely on fusing atoms together, a process that releases far more energy than fission. The sun's energy is a result of nuclear fusion. To understand the destructive power of nuclear bombs, we must delve into the science behind them. These weapons harness the immense energy stored within the atomic nucleus, a process that can be achieved through either fission or fusion reactions. Both methods release a staggering amount of energy, but they do so in different ways and with varying degrees of complexity and power. Fission bombs rely on a chain reaction. In a fission bomb, a neutron collides with the nucleus of a heavy atom, such as uranium-235 or plutonium-239. This collision causes the nucleus to split into smaller parts, releasing a tremendous amount of energy, more neutrons, and gamma radiation. These newly released neutrons then go on to split more nuclei, creating a self-sustaining chain reaction. A single neutron splitting an atom triggers a cascade of similar reactions, releasing an immense amount of energy in a fraction of a second. This rapid release of energy results in a powerful explosion, characterized by an intense blast wave, extreme heat, and lethal radiation. The efficiency and speed of this chain reaction are what make fission bombs so devastating. Fusion bombs take this process a step further. Unlike fission bombs, which split heavy atomic nuclei, fusion bombs work by combining light atomic nuclei, such as isotopes of hydrogen, to form heavier nuclei. This process, known as nuclear fusion, releases even more energy than fission. However, achieving the conditions necessary for fusion, extremely high temperatures and pressures, requires a fission bomb as a trigger. They use a fission bomb as a trigger to create the extreme temperatures and pressures necessary for fusion to occur. When the fission bomb detonates, it generates the conditions needed for the hydrogen isotopes to overcome their natural repulsion and fuse together. This fusion reaction releases a colossal amount of energy, far surpassing that of a fission bomb alone. This fusion reaction, fusing isotopes of hydrogen into helium, unleashes a force many times greater than a fission bomb alone. The energy released in a fusion bomb, also known as a thermonuclear bomb or hydrogen bomb, can be thousands of times more powerful than the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki during World War II. The result of either type of nuclear detonation is a massive explosion with devastating consequences for anything in its vicinity. The immediate effects include a blinding flash of light, an intense heat wave capable of igniting fires over vast areas, and a powerful shock wave that can demolish buildings and infrastructure. The blast wave, intense heat, and radiation released in these explosions can level cities and leave behind a toxic legacy for generations. The long-term effects of radiation exposure can lead to severe health issues, environmental contamination, and genetic mutations, making the aftermath of a nuclear explosion a dire and lasting threat to all forms of life. The immediate effects of a nuclear explosion are nothing short of apocalyptic. Imagine a blinding flash of light followed by a deafening roar. A massive fireball engulfs everything in its path, vaporizing structures and incinerating anything in its wake. The blast wave, traveling faster than the speed of sound, levels buildings and hurls debris with deadly force. The intense heat ignites fires that rage through the devastated landscape. Those who survive the initial blast face a new horror: radiation sickness. Invisible and insidious, radiation penetrates the body, damaging cells and DNA. The effects are often delayed, leading to a slow and agonizing death. Survivors face a future haunted by the specter of cancer and other long-term health problems. The horrors of a nuclear explosion don't end with the initial blast. The long-term consequences are equally devastating, affecting not only the immediate area but also the entire planet. Radioactive fallout carried by wind currents can contaminate vast areas far from the blast site. This invisible threat can linger for years, decades, or even centuries, poisoning the environment and posing a long-term health risk. The environmental impact of nuclear war is catastrophic. The explosions and fires release massive amounts of soot and smoke into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing a nuclear winter. This global cooling effect could disrupt agriculture, leading to widespread famine. The long-term consequences for life on Earth as we know it are dire. The history of nuclear weapons is a cautionary tale of scientific ingenuity intertwined with the devastating consequences of its misuse. It is a story that begins with the pursuit of knowledge and ends with a stark reminder of the responsibilities that come with such power. The Manhattan Project, a top-secret research effort during World War II, brought together some of the brightest minds of the time to develop the first atomic bomb. This monumental task was undertaken in secrecy, with scientists working tirelessly in hidden laboratories across the United States. Driven by the fear that Nazi Germany might develop the bomb first, the United States poured vast resources into the project. The urgency of the situation meant that no expense was spared, and the project rapidly advanced from theoretical research to practical application. In 1945, the world witnessed the horrific power of nuclear weapons firsthand, when the United States dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. These bombings marked a turning point in modern warfare, showcasing a level of destruction previously unimaginable. The devastation caused by these bombings was unprecedented, killing hundreds of thousands of people and leaving a legacy of suffering in their wake. The immediate impact was catastrophic, with entire cities reduced to rubble and countless lives lost in an instant. The world had entered the nuclear age, forever changed by the destructive power unleashed that day. The bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki not only ended World War II, but also ushered in a new era of geopolitical tension and the looming threat of nuclear warfare. The haunting images of the aftermath serve as a grim reminder of the potential for destruction that lies within human hands. The aftermath of World War II saw the emergence of a new global order. Nations around the world were rebuilding from the devastation, and the geopolitical landscape was shifting dramatically. This new order was dominated by the intense rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union, two superpowers with vastly different ideologies and visions for the future. This period, known as the Cold War, was marked by an intense arms race. Both nations invested heavily in their military capabilities, seeking to outdo each other in a show of strength and technological prowess. With both superpowers amassing vast nuclear arsenals, the world watched in a state of constant tension. The sheer number of nuclear weapons stockpiled by both sides was staggering. The threat of nuclear war loomed large, casting a long shadow over the world. The possibility of a nuclear conflict was a terrifying reality that influenced global politics and everyday life. This ever-present danger affected international relations, leading to a series of proxy wars and political standoffs. The fear of mutual destruction kept the superpowers in a delicate balance. The Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear annihilation. For 13 days the world held its breath as the United States and the Soviet Union faced off over the placement of nuclear missiles in Cuba. This crisis highlighted the fragility of peace in a world armed with such destructive weapons. It underscored the importance of diplomacy and the need for effective communication between rival nations. The Cold War eventually ended in 1991 with the collapse of the Soviet Union. This marked a significant shift in global power dynamics and brought an end to decades of tension. However, the legacy of this era, including the thousands of nuclear weapons still in existence, continues to pose a threat to global security. The remnants of the Cold War still influence international relations today. As nations strive for peace and stability, the lessons of the Cold War remind us of the importance of vigilance and the ongoing efforts needed to prevent the proliferation of nuclear weapons. One of the most pressing concerns in today's world is the spread of nuclear weapons to more countries, a process known as nuclear proliferation. The more countries that possess these weapons, the higher the risk of nuclear terrorism or accidental use. International treaties such as the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty have been instrumental in limiting the spread of nuclear weapons. However, these agreements are only as effective as the willingness of nations to abide by them. The recent emergence of new nuclear powers such as North Korea has heightened concerns about the future of global security. The international community must work together to prevent further proliferation and reduce the existing stockpiles of these deadly weapons. The only way to truly eliminate the threat of nuclear war is through complete and verifiable disarmament. This means eliminating all nuclear weapons and preventing their development in the future. Achieving this goal will require a concerted effort from all nations, involving diplomacy, international cooperation, and a shared commitment to a world free from nuclear weapons. The future of humanity depends on our ability to overcome the divisions of the past and work together to address this existential threat. The time to act is now, before it's too late. Let us choose a path of peace, one that ensures a future free from the threat of nuclear annihilation.